And we're live. Thank you for coming today. It's a blessing to have Chichi and Funso-Ore, wonderful family. We're actually in the same, we actually attend the same church. So they're like, this is like a big family. I don't know how to explain the relationship now, but I knew them, I think 5 years ago. Abby?
About that.
Yeah, we met 5 years ago. It was in the choir. We met in the choir practice one of those days. And since then, we've been big family friends. It's basically like family now, though. So it's not like friends anymore. So it's like family now. So, how it all started, I think I met Chichi first. Chichi happens to be my sister. She's from Imo State. And that was where the conversation started. She told me she was from that and that. And I was so surprised that I met someone close to home in a land like the US. So I was really happy. It just made everything felt like home when I could see people from my own end. It doesn't mean that where I'm at is not, you understand, but the fact is that someone from Imo State that I saw. Right. So then she introduced me to one of the coolest guy I've ever met. Very cool guy. His name is Funso-Ore. And when he opened his mouth to talk, because normally you would see him so calm and quiet, smiley and all that. But when he opened his mouth to talk, in terms of his experience where he grew up and all that, then I knew that we weren't even far from each other. Even, you understand? He was born in Lagos. I was born in Lagos. We were all born in Lagos. So, and since then it's been wonderful. I have a lot to say, but I'll just allow them to introduce themselves so that I don't let too many things out of the bag. So, but I will start with anyone that wants to start.
Well, I'll let us start.
Yeah.
But before that, I just want to say thank you for having us, and
Thank you.
And we truly appreciate the opportunity. So I'll let us start.
Okay, what exactly am I starting?
Who Chichi is? Chichi is an entrepreneur, a lot of things, but Chichi is also a wife and a woman of God.
My name is Chinyere. Funso-Ore. I am called Chichi, and I'm Igbo from Imo State, but I was born in Lagos. My husband is Yoruba from Osun State, and we met in Lagos in the choir. I am an entrepreneur. Yes, I am into business full time. I like business. I like doing stuff that brings joy to people. Another thing I do, one major thing that I like doing is bringing smiles to people's faces. Like, I'm a professional makeup artist. When I go, I take the before, and then when I'm done with the makeup, this person is like, "Ooh, I can't recognize myself. Ooh, is this me? Oh my God!" And they will take a picture. Oh my God! In fact, there was a lady. It was her 50th, and I finished her makeup. She said, "Oh, Chichi, they will kidnap me." Oh my God! In fact, there was a lady. It was her.
I'm sorry.
She said, "They will kidnap me and think I'm more than." There was a lady. It was.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Okay, and Chichi, may they not kidnap me for this place too. And when I can't reach there, I will wipe off. They'll now say, no. It was funny, but I actually enjoy. For me, that's the first payment before the main one comes in. So that's basically, I love God. I am a Christian. I actually live for God. I don't do what everybody else does. That's one thing. I like uniqueness. I like to stand out. I don't like to be what everybody else is. No, I like to do something that actually will edify, that people will see and want to do that which I'm doing and glorify God for it, not for me. So that's basically who I am. Over to you, husband.
Yeah. Well, my name is Funso-Ore, like you rightly said. A husband of one wife, uh,
One woman.
one woman. Yeah, yeah, one wife, one woman. And that's how it's gonna be for life
Amen.
till the God says, "Okay, our work here is done."
Okay.
And we have three wonderful kids.
Yeah.
Uh, the first is 15, and we have a 13-year-old, and our girl is 8 years old. Um, so I would say well, my wife is more of the business person. I've always seen myself in the corporate world, but of course, I mean, getting to know her, she brought me to the business sector, right? Um, we met in Lagos State, in the same choir in our church, and by the way, I'm a PK, a pastor's kid. Um, what else to know about me now? I love doing the work of God, and most times I like to be at the background. I don't want to be at the forefront. I just want to do all I want to do for God at the background and let God take control and let the work speak for itself. So, in a nutshell, that is me, Funso-Ore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to add, guys, so they are they are singles, so they are in the choir. Basically, you heard that they started up their relationship in the choir, and I also met them in the choir. So Funsho is part of the tenor session of the choir, and Chichi is in the alto session of the choir. All right, so that's the same thing they're actually doing, and that's how we started. We met actually. But before we go into any conversation, just Funsho, just a brief background of where you were born, how you grew up. Then Chichi would say a bit of, yeah.
Um,
I know
yeah.
you grew up in First Stack. So
Yes, I grew up in First Stack, even though I was not born in First Stack. So, I was born in Ilorin, Kwara State,
yeah,
right? I had my nursery, primary education in Ilorin. Then, um, I started my secondary education too in Ilorin, but I didn't finish in Ilorin because my dad had to move to Lagos to pursue his ICANN certification. So when he left, and I think after about 2 or 3 years, we had to go meet him because my mom had to relocate with him. So we were left with will I say an aunt now. But I mean that's another story for another day because during that time, during those period of time that we were not with my parents, we saw another part of life. I mean, it was my sister, my younger sister, myself. We went through a lot. I mean, but we thank God. I mean, for where we are today. So I finished the other part of my secondary education in Lagos State, and that's what they call from SS1 to SS3 now, right? So I started my GS1 to GS3 in Ilorin, then the other parts I finished in Lagos, and from there I studied economics in Lagos State University, and from there, of course, again, we know how things can be in our beloved country, Nigeria. I couldn't go for my NYSC on time because of backlog and all that. And it was in between that time that my wife told me, okay, you know what? Maybe you should start doing some form of business, right? Which initially I didn't even want to hear about it because I've always seen myself as somebody who works in a bank as an executive, right? I mean, yeah, just carry my briefcase, go to my office, go to my space, and do the work I need to do and go back home, right? And one of the banks I still remember very well to this day that I wanted to work then, even though I don't think they exist anymore, is Bond Bank.
Oh,
Bond Bank. I just love the way, I mean, they kind of place themselves and everything about them. And I was really looking out to work in that bank then. But I mean, again, God has a plan for everybody.
Yeah.
We can only, we can only say, okay, this is what I want to be, but God already knows what, I mean, we're gonna be and how it's gonna be. So I didn't, I couldn't walk in that place, and but God had a better plan. I mean, after I went for my NYC and all that, eventually I was able to get a work with British American Tobacco, and that's where I was, and I worked till we relocated to the US. So yeah, that is that's like Bishop would say, a 5 minute compression of my total journey up to now.
yeah. And to just a brief background of how you grew up, where you were born.
Briefer than that?
I mean, you?
Briefer than that?
No, it's not possible. So
Well, I was born in 227 Kirikiri Road, Olodia Papa.
yes, at the back of my
I don't
I was born.
forget that, and that property is still there.
Yeah.
Till date. I grew up in Lagos. I went to Corona nursery, primary school. By the time I was done with all the whatever, I studied English, and when I I studied English in the East. When I came back to Lagos, I wanted to continue my education in something else. I wanted to study law. Law was because I saw a lot of things during my education, higher institution. I saw so many people being maltreated, and I found out that I have a passion for speaking for people. I don't like it. I don't feel good. It makes me not feel good from the inside when someone is being cheated or maltreated. So I decided, I'm going back to school. I have to study law. So I went back to JAM after studying English. I was supposed to get 200. I had 199. But University of Ibadan refused to take me for law. They said I had to get that by one, or better still, study psychology. So I started psychology instead of waiting. I started psychology in University of Ibadan as a second degree. And I didn't finish. I finished year 3 before we came over here. And I continued here in University. I'm still doing that in University of Maryland right now. I became born again. God has used me in so many ways. My life is actually a life of experiences. My name is Chinyere, and that means God gives me. And God has been giving me, trust me, so many ways. I have seen so many stuff, so much has happened. But by the time, long story cut short, because I wanted to do business, something of my own. The bank what's that bank again? They're not there anymore. NNB. I got a job with NNB, Okiari branch. I didn't last 1 week there because it was as if I was losing myself. It was as if this is not I completed the 1 week and I didn't resume on Monday. And I didn't tell my boss because at that time I was the assistant general manager, American Furniture, 23A Akinadeshola VI. I didn't tell him I was leaving. I just took a week off. And by the time I did that 1 week in NNB, I knew I didn't want to be there. So I just went back and resumed and continued with American Furniture, which is where I started my business line. But at first, I had to pull my husband and see if he would have any passion at all for business. And one short thing that led us into business exactly was what's the hotel again?
Novotel.
Novotel. Novotel was a massive. It used to be Doba Hotel in Festac.
Mhm.
They needed furniture people to do work, and American Furniture was represented. And they wanted some more that American Furniture wasn't doing. So I called my husband. I said, please, let's get this. Let's do this. This is something I can do. This is something we can do. Let's do it. And my husband came in, and our first contract lasted us 3 years. And that was how our business was born. That's how we started. So that's basically much as I can say so far, because I'm sure 5 minutes it's over. So
Yeah. So I wanted to just continue in business. But before we actually go into the main discussion about, you're talking about business and uniqueness. There's this, you want to say one or two about the new business you started?
Oh yes. That the business is a clothing line that was, I already had that in mind, but it was it came out during the pandemic. I'm like, okay, we're not going anywhere. Okay, why can't I get this thing started? I called my husband. One day we were playing. We were just joking. What would we call it? Because it's a unique, it's an African themed clothing line. Excuse me. And I like uniqueness. So I wanted something that will say unique in the business name. My husband, we were joking about it, and my children will say this and say that. My husband just came up and said, what about Classy by Chichi? And that stuck. So that business name, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's classybychichi.com. The website is classybychichi.com. What we are into is traditional attire. Just like we know that here in America, you go to Gap or any store to buy something. Someone sees that it's Gap, they can go get it. Another person can go get the same thing. I wanted something different. So I wanted something that once you're wearing it, you won't see someone that is wearing exactly the same thing, even if it may seem alike, but it's not going to be the same. So that has been the oil of the business. It's making it, grow.
Yeah.
Yes. And in addition to that, I also want to say Chichi Glam Makeover is a makeup company, and I studied makeup in House of Tara. It took me like almost 2 years to get that done. I just decided to do that. I didn't know it was going to be a job. So when we got into Nigeria, the United States, at first, that transition between you coming in and getting a real job that you want to do, it saved me, kept me busy, and made money at the same time.
Yeah. And Fushad, you've been working at the back end to make sure that.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's nothing that he doesn't. He's like he said, he likes working from the back.
Yeah.
I'm usually in the front, trust me. And there's nothing I do in the front that he doesn't tighten one knot or the other here, and another knot there. And we work together. There's nothing where we are today, there's nothing I would have achieved without him. We are in sync in everything we do. So.
Yeah. So again, like I said, probably that. I guess that's just I say my nature. I just want to be. I just want to work and do everything, and behind the scene, and let the work speak for itself. Of course, I'm like that. My wife is, of course, if my wife doesn't talk, she's like me. she's like a goldfish, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, she projects us. So I mean, that's why we kind of complement each other. You understand? Like she there's this thing that she always says that her dad used to tell her that you know what, if there's an issue somewhere, right, and people are running, they will see you first just because of your color, right? Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, I mean, where I cannot say, okay, I want to stand up here and talk, or I mean, want to be seen, she does that for us. Then I do, I mean, the kind of the background work. So I mean, that's how we've always handled our business and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from the first business, how did you like the first business that you two started?
Uh-huh.
Like how did you walk through it? How did it start? How the whole
Yeah.
process?
Wow. Yeah. So the first business, like she rightly said, me, I didn't want to. I mean, business has never been, I mean, my thing, right? Maybe because of um I mean, my again, maybe my upbringing, right? And you know, I mean, the Igbo tribe, I mean, everybody knows that the Igbos are very, very industrious. The Igbos are very, very industrious. It's a well-known fact, right? And the Yorubas are the ones that they want to go to school, go to school, right? And the Igbos, I mean, man, if I wonder what this world would have been without the Igbos, because they are very, very industrious, they make things happen, right? So I guess naturally an Igbo child or an Igbo person has that business flair, I mean, in them, right? So, I mean, when she told me about me trying to go into business, I was like, you know what, this is not my thing and all that. And I mean, but again, when she talked about me, we're trying to do the business, I said, okay, I mean, I don't know anything about it. So you are the one that's always been in that space. So let's see how it goes. So when she talked to this particular person that was one of the managers in the Den Double Hotel, right? I think it's now Golden Tulip. I think that's the name they call it now. Yeah. When she talked to the person about it, and again, this is where, I mean, we see God's grace and God's work, right? The man just said, okay, so can you do this? And I mean, I said, yes, we can. Now, this is a place where, I mean, I mean, companies like Julius Berger, I mean, all these big companies were working. And somebody who doesn't have an history of business, who doesn't, I mean, no catalog, no nothing to show. And the man just said, oh, okay, you can do this. I said, yes, we can. I mean, and the man was, okay, go get a sample, bring a sample for us. So I was like, oh, I told her, I said, well, it has happened though. They said we should bring sample. I don't know what we're going to do, how we're going to get it. Even the finance to get the sample, I mean, we didn't have it, right? So, but of course, again, I mean, there's this friend of hers that she talked to, and the guy was like, okay, yeah, I can loan you guys some money. Okay, to cut the long story short, the guy, I mean, borrowed us the money. I went, I mean, got the work done. Again, I mean, she knew a lot of people and the workmen who could do based on the place where she was working. So we talked to one of them. The guy gave us a sample. We took the sample to the hotel, and it was approved. I mean, just like that. And the person that did this work, they use a fancy workshop or anything, or fancy machine. So again, I mean, it just shows that, I mean, God had his hand in that business, that it was going to just work out. Because how do you compete with companies who are well established? Do you understand? How do you compete with companies who have a structure? I mean, companies who had their employees and all that. So, but I mean, we did that and it was approved. And for 3 good years, we were on that site working and making money. I mean, even the person we borrowed the money from, we told, oh, give us like almost a year before we'll be able to pay back. But we were able to pay the money back within probably like, I mean, before we could say Jackrabbits, we were able to pay the money back, right? And things just started taking shape. Things just started taking shape. I was like, so I told her, I said, this business is sweet. So I mean, because I mean, you could just see once you're done with your work, you send them the papers, they check, everything is fine. Bam, you just see the alert in the bank account. Wow, just like that. And so that kind of made me, I mean, fall in love with business as well. You understand? But of course, I still give it to her because, I mean, she's the business madam. I still do the bit. I mean, the little I can do, like doing the accounting part of it, because of course my training, I studied economics in school. I mean, I've worked in the finance sector, so I work. I mean, mostly from the financial side of things.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been a great journey. It's been a great experience. But that first business we did kind of opened my eyes to why, I mean, business is the way to actually go. Because if you want to have that financial freedom, then you need to be in business. You need to be in business. Yeah. Again, like I said, maybe I want to be the person who is always, I mean, who has that executive frame of mind about how things should be done. I can do that in my business. So, but the bottom line is, I mean, for you to really have that financial freedom, then you need to have a business of your own that you're doing. So that's been, I mean, the experience I learned from the first business we did. Of course, we've had other businesses after then to do, and we are still doing business now. And it's been great. It's been great. And I mean, everything ties back to God, because He's the only one that's made it happen for us the way it is.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Well,
Do you have anything to add to that?
yes, please. You know, the male perspective and the female perspective is always a little bit slightly different.
Yeah.
What he didn't say is that the first time when the sample was approved, we didn't have a company name yet. We hadn't registered. And like he said, that's, you will know that God's hand is in it. All we needed was to push, to move in that we have. Move in that direction, and God definitely oils it, because we didn't have a business name, we hadn't registered, and because we thought it was going to take a little while, we said, we will do that later, until they gave us a check in the name of our business.
That was not registered.
That was not registered yet.
Hey.
We had this check of so much money on it, but we hadn't registered. So he had this friend that in CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission.
Yeah.
So he had gone to work. I took off. I went to meet her. I spoke with her. I said, this name has to be available because we already have a check in the name. And she said, okay, let her see. And she checked and it was available. And then she brought it to speed. We didn't stay the length of time that registering should have stayed. And immediately we got those documents. We collected those documents, went straight to the bank, and read it when we used it, opened up that account and used that check to start that account, business account. And on the day it cleared, it was as if we didn't know how much it was on the paper. But when we saw it in the account, oh my goodness. My husband said, okay, withdraw just 1 million from it. I withdrew 1 million, and we got to the house and we threw it up. We're millionaires. We threw it up, and it was a time that we knew that what you want to do dwells in you. You need to do your part and let God do the rest. You don't just sit down and wait for God to give you the idea. The idea is born in you. It's already there. Find it. It's there. That's where I knew that it is what we do that God will bless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Funsho, I want to ask you, did you see this business idea in her the first day you saw her?
Well, I mean, I didn't see it. I mean, but again, like I said, when you see an Igbo person, you know that okay,
But it's not every
this
Igbo that has it.
is business.
Uh-huh.
I mean, so for me, right, my background, I mean, kind of inculcated in me that when you see an Igbo person wants to do business. An Igbo person is a business-minded person, right? Even though she wasn't, I didn't see her like that, but at the back of my mind, I mean, based on the fact that okay, Igbo people like business, right? I mean, I was like, oh, okay, this person might like business. You understand what I mean? So, but those ideas, those business ideas were not there. But I mean, again, you just kind of conclude that all Igbo people, I mean, they like business. Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, so one of the beautiful things that actually endeared me to you two, I mean your marriage and your connection, your friendship, even after so many years of marriage, is the way you guys relate, the way you guys make marriage look so nice, so easy. I wouldn't say there hasn't been any, you understand, it's not smooth like that. But where I'm headed is like back home in Nigeria, we all know how Nigeria is when it comes to intertribal marriage, intercultural marriage, and in this part of the world, how do I put it? What's it what to use for
Multiracial wedding?
multiracial kind of, yeah, kind of marriages, and when I came here I saw that the same, even though it's different, even though here is actually racial differences, back home is ethnic differences. And back home, where our own issue started was way back in that country, where in our country, it's not in that country, in our country, my country, in our country, where the whole difference is all that, where there wasn't any difference, actually. I would say from the Biafran war coming up, that was where all the differences started. And it didn't make any sense, right? Because everybody is actually human beings and stuff. So inter-ethnic, inter-tribal, multicultural, whatever kind of. So those differences, when I came here, I saw it differently. Here, the motivation behind it is quite different, where this will say this is, yeah. But the idea is, I love love. I love the fact that despite what happens back home, though it's not that rampant, right? But we all know that if you look at the fabrics of our culture, right? Some of those things sometimes are not smiled at with some families. Why some families don't really care, right? I will start with my family. It's as Igbo people, Mama would, Chichi would, I say Mama in live, Chichi would, so in my own, let's say my culture, right? It's not something that we always do, we would say we do, basically. But some of us actually do that, where we do intertribal marriages, and we all embrace that. In my family, it's not something that's 100%, but most of us actually, they marry Igbo people. Or some of us, very few of us actually. A few of my family members, they marry Igbo people. Very few, right? So, but the thing is, it's not something that you see that is common. Now, but why I'm actually headed here is because of the processes that both of you went through, because we've talked a lot, right? So I'm trying to reach those people that are in that space, both interracial marriages, intertribal marriages, those people in that state, trying to start up as young people, as old people, how now this is where you guys can talk as much as you want, right? Because I really want you guys to really explain what you went through from the beginning to now where everything is so sweet, right? Because most of us, our family here in the US, I'm talking about African Americans, Caucasians, and everybody that sees you, our family, this is our family here in the US, right? That sees you, they won't really understand. Because I know you said one or two times in church how the relationship started and all that stuff, but you didn't go deep in the sense that you didn't really explain that much, right? But this is like a platform where you explain and you try to reach those people that are trying to get into inter-ethnic, inter-tribal, interracial marriages. Your steps is like a story from where you started to where now everything is smooth, because people have seen you come with your parents. I've seen Chichi's dad. Nah, I think I saw. I didn't see him because I didn't get a chance to see him. Yeah, but I've seen Funso's dad more than once, right? So, and I've seen the relationship. And Chichi really told me how your dad actually related to her. I think this was when things started becoming sweet, right? But before things became sweet, how did you guys start? Where you met Chichi the first time? Chichi was born in Kirikiri. That's basically at the back of where I was born, just the street at behind me.
Kirikiri is prison.
Oh, Kirikiri Apapa. Not Kirikiri prison, guys, please.
Don't mind.
Not Kirikiri prison. Yeah. Kirikiri Apapa, Olodi Apapa.
Yes.
I was born in Yaya Crescent at Olodi Apapa, which is.
Oh, I know. I remember that place.
Yeah, we had that discussion with Chichi. So I was born basically in front of where Chichi was born. Just like you just walk past Ogologo. You walk past Ogologo, then you're into my own street. So Chichi was born there. So I just want you guys to start from that place to where you guys are now. Like anybody can start, but just to give like a breakdown, one step at a time, how you guys started and where you guys are now.
Well, after it's a very, very long story.
Yeah.
I'll try to cut it in the places that that are not really important. Okay. From there, we moved to Volkswagen.
Oh, Volkswagen.
And from Volkswagen, I would come to church. But before then, before I became born again, because I became born again in that church in Love Aglo Ministries International, I was coming to Festac to visit a friend of mine. And on my friend's headboard, there was a sticker, Love Aglo Christian Assembly. So I said, oh, I like the name of this church. Can we go? But my friend wasn't eager on going, but it was burning in my spirit, like when something is the time for it to be done. So I sought another friend's opinion, I asked, please, where is this church located? Because the address of the church was not on the sticker. So that friend said, oh, I'll take you there. And we took a bike on that Sunday. And I got there. On that day, it was Bimbo Dukoya that was the guest minister.
Whoa, Bimbo Dukoya.
Yes. She was the guest speaker in church on that day. I didn't know her name when I got there.
Okay.
I know she was the guest speaker, but from the gate, when I crossed the gate, I did hear the Holy Spirit say, welcome. That is the loudest I have heard the Holy Spirit. And I was still wondering, since I'm not born again, I thought the Holy Spirit doesn't speak, but trust me, he does. So I went into the church. There was no space in the church. So I stood outside and a woman that was nursing her baby because the baby was getting restless. She came out and I asked her, I said, "Are you coming back?" She said, "Oh, no, you can sit." So I sat. This church was my now father-in-law was the uh, president, the bishop. Then he wasn't a bishop. He was the pastor in charge of the church. He was, in fact, he started the church, Love Aglow. And I walked into the church. I sat down, and everything Bimbo Odukoya said on that day, it was as if she was talking to me. So before she even said, if you want to give I ran to the front and I stayed, and that was how I gave my life to Christ on that day, and to the glory of God till now. And then after 1 year, I decided I'm not the kind of person that likes sitting in the background of anything. In church, I sit in front. In whatever I'm doing, I like to be in the front, either in the front seat or in the front row or whatever in front. So I had to go through the disciple training program, because then if you do not pass the disciple training program, you cannot be a worker in the church. It was strict, yeah. And I scaled through it, and and by the time I finished disciple training, we did the baptism, the water baptism, and that's how I got into the choir. And that my husband was already in the choir because his father was the presiding pastor of the Love Aglow Christian Assembly. But at the time, before we actually spoke to ourselves, we already it was as if there was something already going on, because he had a friend, he had his friend at the time, a girl, and she was in the choir too. But at some point, I like watching movies. So sometimes I buy a lot of movies. That time you can't see a lot of places where they rent movies and return. So I just buy the movies. And he likes movies that have Black people in them, like Best Man, Morris Chestnut. And, so when I get movies like that, he said, "Oh, please, can I watch?" And then I'll give him some of the movies. Of course, we all knew he had someone that he was dating. So of course, me being an Igbo girl, at the time, there was someone that I was betrothed to, who my parents made sure he paid my dowry. But I was 15 when he paid that dowry. So at this point, I couldn't even remember the face of the person that paid my dowry, because he traveled out of the country after paying that dowry. So, but in Igbo land, it is a big thing. It's a big deal to pay that dowry. You are literally married.
Yeah.
So I wasn't looking, I wasn't searching. I knew, okay, I have to wait for this person to come. 7 years was on the run from my 15th year. He wasn't coming in, he wasn't getting back to me, he wasn't calling, there was nothing. So while we were in the choir, something I felt, I can't say the first day, I can't say we had any particular day that it started, but there was a day after having been friends for a while, he's a very focused human being, my husband. When he has someone, he doesn't look anywhere else. And thank God, so am I, to the glory of God. But I guess he had an issue with the girl. And we're not going to go into details.
Yeah.
And then it was as if he then noticed me as someone that he could be in a relationship with. Not that we weren't friends, not that anything, but he hadn't seen that as a possible relationship avenue for both of us. So, and I haven't been brought up by strict parents that if you don't go looking for a man, the man has to speak. Even though I felt the affection there, I didn't say anything until he spoke on that Sunday afternoon. And boom, it was like, this thing has been waiting to kick off. So we started a relationship, basically a friendship. It wasn't like we were dating, but we were always together. If we're not together, we're on the phone together. We were always talking. We were always talking. For 3 years, we had that talking period. No relationship whatsoever, no deep relationship going on. Because he didn't want to come all out because I already told him about the dowry that was paid. But at the same time, because this other dowry being paid was like a distant thing, I didn't know where he was going. I was waiting for the guy to come back. The guy wasn't coming back. My parents were saying, you have to wait, you are married and all that, which thank God he came back and that was sorted. And then that made our relationship bloom. So then the wahala started. The problem, that's what wahala means. Then my dad was like, no, you are my first daughter. You cannot marry someone that is not from that I don't know. It has to be, he gave me a list of seven people to choose from. This one, he lives in the UK, he's a doctor, he's doing well. This one lives in the US, he's a lawyer, he's doing well. This one, all of them had names and attached to them, titles. But I already had the person I was looking for. I wasn't looking for anything. I had someone. So why point me towards these people? But because of the tribe. Then he said, what am I going to be talking with this guy? What do you mean? Who is this?
No God.
And it was yes, so you know, that's a kind of, what is it called now?
They just used to describe
something the Igbos used to describe the Yorubas, and Yorubas also have what they use.
This number.
So on the other hand, his father was like his hands were tied because at first he saw that, oh, this person has someone. And then later, okay, you now want to marry this person? Oh my God. He didn't know where to stand. But his mother was vocal. His mother, no, you are getting married to someone that speaks our language. So now we were both torn into 2 different tribes, 2 different cultures, 2 different upbringing, 2 different lives. But we could see it working because we had been friends for the first 3 years. And we knew that what we had would work in no matter with the strong foundation, which truly now we know that what we had then was a strong foundation. Trust me, then we didn't know that that was a foundation that we will need to build on. So we decided, okay, because he's a Christian, I'm a Christian, let's go legalize this thing so we don't be on the other side of God's plans and promise. So we went to court. Now, I'm going to say this just for the purpose of people listening that are in that space also. I'm going to give it as a testimony. He went to court, registered, and we were supposed to get married on the 9th of November. And by the at first, there's something they call a job, where contribution.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing that. So in the beginning, we had when we were the ones that were given the lump sum. So we could deposit. I deposited for my wedding dress. He deposited for a few other stuffs too, like a suit. We made little deposits here and there. But because at that time, we hadn't started this business. We weren't together per se at the time. We were still trying to get together amidst our parents saying this one saying no and this one saying no. So by the time there was this friend of his in Lagos, his father owned a media company, a media outfit. He wanted us to have a family advert, newspaper, federal government newspaper advert, a family advert. Now, suffice it to say that we are not perfect. At this point, I already got pregnant, and we had to legalize this thing because we were not on the right side.
Yeah.
Now, we cannot say our parents were not on our side, and then we are now on the other side of God, who, at least if we were on God's side, he will fix, this stuff. So we had to fix it. So by the time we did this advert, because it was his friend's father, we didn't know if we were going to be paid. And, because we were really young then, nothing gave us in fact, you dare not ask. We didn't bother asking the man, are we going to be paid? Or are we going to get some money from this? We didn't ask that question.
Yeah.
We just felt, okay, this is his friend's father's business. So we just helped. But by the time we were getting close to our wedding date, he said he wants to go to the registry. I said, okay, what do you want to go do there? He said he wants to go and change the dates. I said, why? He said, because we don't have any money. That we have, my dress was stuck she was done. The person that made my dress, she was done. I didn't have the balance to pick it up. We hadn't done some other stuff that we were supposed to do. The cake, the whole 9 yards, everything that we were supposed to do for a wedding, preparations for the wedding. We hadn't done that. So he said he was going to change the date. I said, as much as we want to change the date because of what we can see, why don't we leave it? I want to know if God is in this with us. If God is in this, trust me, we can go anywhere. We can do anything with it. And he said, okay, let's see. But are you sure? I said, let's see. I want to know if God is in it with us, because everyone around us is already against us. We need to know if there's something that if God is seeing us as a couple that can work, because we're already in this together. So he said, okay, this was the 6th of November. We had 7, 8, 9. It was 3 days. On the 6th in the evening, his friend's father gives us a call that we should come to the house. And we got to the house. And he said that the federal government has paid for that advert. So this is our payment. We said, ooh. And we looked at the check. He wrote the check in our business name.
Again.
No, that time we hadn't, it was just a business name.
Okay.
That we hadn't registered. So, but we already had that name in our mouth. We already, we had Classy by Chichi before we started working on the registrations before they pulled through. So he wrote it in our name. It wasn't in the business name, but it was a crossed check that we had to pay in.
To clear.
To clear in 3 days. We didn't have 3 days.
Yeah, which was.
And this money was a lot. And we were like, oh my God, from no money to this amount. We were so excited. We didn't look at the check to see that it was a cross check. until in the morning when he finished getting dressed to go and pay, to go and cash the check. He looked at it. Oh God, it's not an over-the-counter check. It's a check we're paying. Oh God. Him and I, we went back to prayer. I was weeping. I said, God, I thought you had fixed this. We were crying as we were praying that day because we saw that light at the end of the tunnel. And we felt, oh, it's done. So God, indeed, you are in this with us, only to find out in the morning that this check wasn't going to work. Because remember, the next morning was 7th of November, and we had the 9th, which was 2 days more. So we went back to prayer. My heart sank, but all the passion, all the pain, all the thing we felt, we poured into prayer. Because at that time, nobody was talking to us, so we didn't have anybody to discuss with. So that same evening of the 7th, was it?
Yeah.
The same man calls us. Are you guys home? Yes, we are home. Did you pay in that check yet? We said, no, we still have it. Okay, come to the house, come. And we drive to the house. We were looking at ourselves. I asked him, did your friend tell you anything before? He said, no. I said, oh my God, what is this? We get to the house and this man says, let me have that check. It happens that I have some loose cash. Loose cash of that amount? No, this is God. Now, loose cash of that amount he brings in a bag and gives us and takes back that check. For me, that was God saying, go on, I'm behind you. And my husband and I, we couldn't display what we felt in the living room there. We waited until we went outside. We said, look, we looked at their house to be sure nobody's in the window. Looking at us, we said, okay, got into the car and we went. The plans began. The morning of the 8th, one day, I took money. That whole day we biked to everywhere we went.
Yeah, there was money.
We were living in Festa.
Oh yeah.
We were living in Festa, 23 Road. And I biked to Adeni Rogunsoya to go and complete the payment of my dress.
Yeah.
And in fact, as God would have it, the woman made everything for me. I didn't have to look for a bouquet. She put a bouquet there. That was not our plan. The gloves, she made it. The jewelry, she made a choker. The veil, we didn't pay for that. She just added she threw in all that in the big box of dress. And he took a bike to, what's that? Alade shopping mall.
Alade?
In Ikeja. He took a bike, went and collected his suit, and we met back at home, and we said we have to go to. We started texting our friends.
Yeah.
Still, this is happening. This is still happening. And then we went to Lagos Island. We made the souvenirs, printed souvenirs.
Yeah.
Bought my shoes, which was the remaining thing, the only thing that was remaining from my attire. Bought his shoes, bought his shirt, his tie, did the things that were remaining. And then he took off somewhere else. I took off back to Festac, went to a cake woman. I said, how much will it take you to get me a wedding cake? My wedding is 10 a.m. tomorrow. She said, tomorrow? I said, yes. She said, okay, this is what you're going to pay because of the lateness. I said, okay, there you go. And I paid. And she said, okay, so let them come and pick it. I said, okay, fine. And after getting all that, the long and short of the story is that wedding did take place on the 9th of November. And from then, this journey began. For us, the journey of marriage began. We had a certificate. We had something to show. We went back to God. We said, okay, God, we've made this right. Forgive us. Here we are. We've done it. We've fixed it to our own capacity, in our own capacity. Okay, so. And then one day, out of the blues, his dad calls and says, we should come. And then the settling of the families began from that day. He asked us, Chichi, do you want to marry my son? I said, I'm married to him. He said, shush. I said, okay, I'm sorry, sir. He said, do you want to marry my son? I said, yes, I want to marry him. He asked him the same and he said, yes. And from there, they went and talked to my parents. And you want to put in anything from there?
Well, yeah, and yeah, the rest is history today. I mean, she said a lot. I mean, regarding how it all started, and I mean, some of the things we went through. Now, going back to your question, I mean, as it relates to intertribal marriage and that, it wasn't a smooth sail at all. I mean, it wasn't. It became really, really tough. It became really difficult that, I mean, we didn't have the family support, based on everything that, I mean, she already talked about that happened. We didn't have that family support. We were just by ourselves. I mean, there were times that I'll be driving in that same first stack and I'll see my dad. We're driving on opposite direction. I'll look at him, you look at me, and I'll drive off. It was that bad, right? Because my take on it as a then was that, okay, yeah, I've done everything that, I mean, my parents wanted me to do. I've been the good child that, I mean, that's, I mean, I'm supposed to be. I've obeyed every instruction. Yeah, maybe, I mean, I didn't do things right, I mean, with the process, but I made them understand. I told them, I said, well, you know what? I mean, this is the person that I love and I want to spend the rest of my life with. And I expected their support, right, from the onset, but the support wasn't just there. So I was like, okay, you know what? I've made up my mind. This is the journey I want to take. And you see, I see a lot of people who say, oh, my parents didn't let me marry the love of my life. They didn't let me do this. I just feel that they are not ready to do that. Because honestly speaking, it might not be easy when you decide to stick with the decision, but at the end of the day, it's going to pay off. Because these people are not the ones that are going to, they won't live your life for you. You are the one that's going to live your life, right? So for me, in as much as you are convinced, right, that this is the person I love and this is the person that's going to make my life better, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with, then I think you should just do things the right way and go on with your life. I mean, do what you need to do. Because, again, like I said, from the onset, the support was not there, right? But we had to do things the right way, right? Even though, I mean, we had our first son, I mean, before we made things right. Yeah, but we made things right and we stuck with ourselves. I mean, I have but there's this particular guy that, I mean, we worked in the same company together, and this guy, I mean, their story is similar to us. I mean, this guy is Yoruba. I mean, he's been in so much, I mean, he's in love with this Igbo girl, and the mom said, no, you cannot marry this girl. The guy was like, but this is the person I want to marry. But the guy probably didn't just, I mean, he didn't stand his ground. And he decided to go with what the mom said. Yeah, I mean, as children, we need to obey our parents.
Yeah.
But our parents are not perfect. So there are some things that they themselves don't really know God's plan for. So up to this day that I'm talking to you, of course, the Igbo girl, she went and she got married to somebody else. But up to today, the guy has not been able to find another person.
Whoa.
Yeah, because as far as he's concerned, that's the only person that he has ever loved. And this person has gone. I mean, the lady too probably fell to the pressure of her parents and decided to marry somebody else. But this guy has not been able to move on. Up to today, this guy is not married. Now, what am I saying? I already saw that this is what I want to do. This is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. This is my better half. I saw that and I made sure that that happened. Now, as we're talking today, right? My parents, my dad passed last year, may God rest his soul. Up to today, there are times when my wife is talking with my mom, and I'm like, okay, what are you talking with? Because there's this closeness, there's this bond, right, that exists now. That, I mean, you will be shocked that, I mean, we are actually from different tribes. And I understand that some people will say, okay, there are cultural differences. That is true, right? In Yoruba land, I mean, when you want to greet someone, you probably prostrate, you kneel down with your two legs. But in Igbo land, it is different. It is not like that, right? So again, that brings to this now, that once the two people involved, once you understand yourself, once you've determined this is what you want to do, right? There's always a point of compromise. Right? So, I mean, at the point I had to be telling my wife, okay, this is what we do, this is how we do it. But I didn't make that become an issue between us. Now, she too was ready to do those things, right? And for the ones that I felt, I mean, it's not compulsory, it's not a do or die affair, I let them know that I let my folks know that this thing is not the way it is done in this place. It's going to take some time to adjust to that. And the same thing she also did, right? So we had to kind of let our people know, okay, you know what? This is the way things are done here. This is the way things are done here. And we now decide to say, okay, let me do some of the things that I can do. You understand? So, I mean, the two people also involved, they need to be matured about what they're doing, right? And with God on your side, things will surely work out at the end of the day. You can imagine if I threw in the towel, or if she threw in the towel, then when we're going through the challenges, what would have happened today? Now, our families are very close, and you won't even believe that. I mean, there's a tribal gap. You won't even know that that we had issues, right? So, first thing first, I mean, be sure that this is what you want to do, right? And you guys, and people should know that there will be challenges, but with God on your side and with those and with your mindset that you want this thing to work, it usually works out well at the end of the day. And I mean, I just thank God that I didn't throw in the towel, and thank God she too didn't throw in the towel. And today, I mean, we are all happy. Yeah. The families are happy.
And to buttress what he said, our pastor in church usually asks, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
Sometimes we come off to our parents like we don't really, okay, it's not that serious. Okay, I will go your way, knowing that you are not going to be happy with that way that you want to go. Now, 10 years after the first wedding that nobody came, nobody was there, just my sibling, two of my siblings and his younger brother, we had a wedding. One will say, but we have wedded. Oh yes, but our parents weren't there. So by the time his father went to meet my dad, they started the traditional rites. In my place, in Igbo land, you will go to the girl's village. You don't stay in Lagos where you met and get married. No, we don't do that. You have to go all the way to the village where the girl is from, because the father's brothers and sisters, uncles, aunties, grandpa will have to witness that marriage, that wedding, that traditional.
A union.
Yeah. So eventually we got that done. By the time we were done with that, we had sorted everything. That was when I had my second son, whose name is Peace. My father gave him peace. My father-in-law gave him peace in two different places. My dad was in our house. I called him. I said, okay, what's this boy's name? He said, Udochukwu. Udochukwu means peace in Igbo. Then my father-in-law says his name is Peace because both families are at peace. And that's how his name stuck. And by the time we were 10 years, we went the whole 9 yards. We did the whole wedding. We had the blessings from both parents here in the United States. They all came. We had this wedding. And what we didn't have that first time we had our wedding, we had in our 10th anniversary, on our 10th anniversary. And that was when we in fact, from then on, you would wonder if this person is my father-in-law, because we were so close. My dad, my mom, my mother-in-law, we were so. My dad and I we are close. He passed February this year, God rest his soul. But they were all there, and we had this 10th anniversary that was huge. And I as much as I give it the glory to God, I want to say here that I want to give some of the praise to my husband, because the way my father was vibrating, I was ready to back up because I'm his first daughter. But when I look at his face and the determination on his face that this is what I want. Do you want it? Are you with me? I'm like, okay, if you're that, whatever about it, then we're in it together. And here we are today. Do not forget, there always is trial and tribulation, but together you can skip that hurdle. You can pass it, because the devil will always throw in those little things. It's not that we don't fight. In fact, my mom was in our house. My mom used to help me with the children because when I was working, and she was always saying, she was always asking me, do you guys fight? I've never seen you fight. But sometimes we were fighting. She wouldn't know. So it boils down to, okay, this is what you are going through, sort it. There's something I liked that he was always doing, he still does, is when we have some issues, he doesn't let us go to sleep until we sort it, until we talk about it. Because sometimes, now, I'm saying this for people, for whoever to learn, whoever that it affects or whoever that it touches. Sometimes what the devil stops us from doing is communicating when we're having problems or issues or challenges. And together, when we're having those challenges, if you are so angry, you walk away, you don't want to talk about it, he walks away, he doesn't want to talk about it, who will come in to sort that problem? The both of you have to make out time and sit and talk about it. I've seen people that got divorced and became good friends. That is the devil's work. How? The both of you were good, and then you were not good anymore. And then you get out of it, and then you are good again. It's not, as much as there are, I have heard these words so many times, irreconcilable differences. I don't think there's a difference that is irreconcilable. I don't think so. Or how do you say irreconcilable? Reconcilable. How do you say it? My father-in-law will say irreconcilable, irreconcilable. Choose the correct one.
Yeah.
But let's not deviate from the point, the lesson of the matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's beautiful, man. It's that your stories is one of those things that I know that would um go far in trying to reach out to young folks. Like I said before, not just for intertribe, but intercultural, interracial. Because here you see, I love when I see Caucasians and white, I mean, and black people.
It's
Or
me
Caucasian,
too.
I love that. Caucasians and black, African Americans and Africans. You understand? Even in Africa, sometimes when you marry from Ghana or Liberia or whatever, yeah, you understand. Some people don't smile, but really, I love seeing that diversity, that unity in diversity, right? That's one of those reasons why the US is one of those places that I really, really do like, and other countries actually accept people from different backgrounds to come together and do stuff together. So it's beautiful, especially in marriage when I see lovebirds like you guys are not lovebirds anymore because you guys are old in the game now. So basically, you're
Yeah, and yeah,
There's nothing like
we
being old
we
in the
are
game.
still learning too.
There's nothing like being old in the game because it's a continuous process. And
Yeah,
like Pastor, I
learning.
learned from Pastor too when she says people change. As we grow, we change.
yeah,
I realized that some things that I used to like before, I don't like them anymore. There are some things I didn't like before. Now I love them. I didn't like the color yellow like 10 years back. I didn't like the color. But now I don't know why I didn't like it then. And there are stuffs also that he didn't know he could do. He didn't want to do them. And then he did them now. He likes them. And as long as we keep changing, we have to keep updating ourselves and learning this new stuff about this person. That's why when you hear songs like we are, we will grow old together, this growing old together is continuous learning, being teachable, and continuing to learn the person you are with, because sometimes they want. I use myself as an example every time. I didn't like the color red. It was not as bad. This was very bad. Not as bad as the yellow, but
mm,
it was very bad. Now I'm wearing a red hair. I like red. I love red. Um, he has stuffs that he didn't like before. He
yeah,
loves them now. And we have to get ourselves updated and things like that to find out if you are that close, you find out where this person has changed. Okay, what changed? Okay, you come up, okay, how do I fit into that change? And then you adjust yourself to that change because we are completely different. Two human beings, that two imperfect human beings grew up differently,
yeah,
come together in marriage, there's no way there won't be crashing. There's no way there won't be clashes. Sometimes we fight with our mom, our dad, our siblings that we came from the same home, let alone someone that came from a completely different home. In light, to throw more light in that, I have a passion with marriage too, which is what I have seen as the end of this psychology I'm studying. I'm going into family and marriage counseling.
okay,
And by the grace of God, that I want to use this opportunity to talk to the youth, the younger people, that this minute we don't want to do it anymore. Next minute we want to do it. I have seen a lot in this United States and even in Nigeria and different countries. Like you said, you like people that you see differently. I work in a place where they walk in every day. I see a Chinese with a black man, and I'm like, ooh, I love it. I'm like, ooh, this can happen.
yeah,
Because back home in Nigeria, it's easier. It's the same country,
yeah,
different cultures, different language. But here, it's poles and miles and countries and continents apart. I see an African man speaking Yoruba married to a Jamaican. And I'm seeing a Mexican married to Yoruba man or an Igbo man, and they are doing it. So it's about what do we want and how bad do we want it? Do you want this relationship to stay? Are you giving it your all? That's the way, that's what you need to find out. Are you ready to go the whole 9 yards, the whole miles with this person? That's the main question before you start the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I like in different that the fact that you guys actually pointed it out that in different stages of your processes, talking about when you needed money for this, when you needed this for that, you guys went to your knees and prayed, and somehow things just find a way to work around it. Just to tell, yeah. So there's always something that comes with two people coming together, agreeing together to focus on something and pray about it, talk about it, and walk through it. So you guys give clear examples on how things like that work through when people come together to talk about something, they pray about it. Inherently, they want those things to work out. So, and somehow God just makes things work out. You understand? So I really do appreciate, really, not just you coming out to talk today, but your lifestyle is one thing that that was the reason why I really chased you guys from the first day to today, continuously, just to make sure that you guys come out and share your experiences, because it's important for people to listen to your experiences and also learn from it. It probably might be preaching to most of us. You don't really know, but I mean, yeah. So thank you, though. Any last words at all?
Well, in what area? In marriage?
Yeah, in marriage.
Okay. I have a lot of experiences. We can't finish the talk if we start.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw some lights into a few.
Yeah.
One thing that we learned in the marriage. So many of the things about marriage you learn in marriage. And then you make sure you work on it. Peace, my peaceful peace. There was a day he wanted to wear a particular pair of shoes.
Yeah.
I told him, no, that's not the only shoe you have. That's what you've been wearing. Wear some of these other ones. Wear them. My husband, not knowing that he had spoken to me, Peace went to the dad. And Peace said, Daddy, can I wear this shoe? And the dad said, oh, yeah, of course. In his own, his is, why wouldn't you wear it? Why am I talking about it? Go ahead, wear it. And the boy came to me and said, And I'm like, sorry, what happened? Daddy said I should wear it. Where am I going? I turned to my husband. I said, oh. My husband saw my look and he said, oh, he already asked you? I said, yes. And I said, no, because he has worn that shoe like 3-4 times without wearing another one. So let him just change it. My husband said, oh, okay. I take that back. From that day, we learned and we told the children, whenever mommy says yes, that's the answer that he's saying automatically. And if you go to daddy first and he says no, that's the answer mommy is taking to.
Final.
You can, yeah, and that will be final. If you want to appeal, that is a completely different thing. But always have it at the back of your mind that daddy and mommy are standing in the same spot and saying yes together, even if we're in different places, and we're saying no together, even if we're in different places, depending on what the question is. Now, my advice that made me use that as an example is don't let your kids come between you. Then the woman will say, I had the child, I carried him. We know. I know that. I have 3 children, so I know that. But remember, we couldn't have done it without the men. I wouldn't have done it without him. And it's also his children. They're also his children. So when the father is chastising the child, try as much as possible not to put your mouth and let the child believe that you are on that child's side. It breaks marriages. I have seen that. So in marriage, oneness works. It is the both of you against the whole world, even your parents, your kids. We had because of the people that had issues in their own marriage, because of the tribal differences, we decided to attend some marriage seminars, marriage counseling seminars, sessions that maybe that are happening in churches or anywhere. We attended quite a few, and we learned a lot from there. It's not a big deal. It doesn't bring down your ego. It doesn't make you anything. You just learn from other people's experiences. That is one of the reasons we're here today. So many people will learn from our experiences. We are still learning from other people's experiences. You get there, one of the marriage seminars, the woman said, if you are both, it's always better for the man to speak to his mom about issues, the woman to speak to her mom or dad about whatever it is they want to talk about. Don't get your husband to talk to your mom until the relationship, as you're starting, until the relationship has stabilized. Like now, I don't have to talk to my husband. I call my mother-in-law. He doesn't know. I speak to my father-in-law, and I just pass the phone to him. Who's that? You've been talking with that person on the phone. I said, my father-in-law. Oh, my dad, you mean? And then we laugh about it. And because the family has become one, we have learned, and this relationship has become so close. We have become so close. I can now talk to my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
But if there are touchy subjects, I still need to pass it, ask him to talk to his mom about it, or me talk to my mom about it. But where we are at this moment, to God be the glory, we can talk. He can call my mom. Actually, there was a day I didn't know. I was like, my mom he said, I spoke with her already. I'm like, oh, really? You didn't even tell me. And, as you grow in marriage, your people around you see that they cannot come in between you. They back off.
Yeah.
And then they flow with you.
That's true.
So you can't let your sister say something. You have to stand for your husband, and you stand for your wife in the different gatherings, wherever it is, either in the girls' gatherings or in the husband's gatherings. So that is one thing I have learned in the marriage. I didn't go to class to learn that. I learned in these 15 years of marriage that we've had. Yes.
Wow. So Funso, any last words?
Yeah. So, my own last words would be that as men, we should try to listen more to our wives. And when I say that, I'm not saying take everything they tell us hook, line, and sinker. But I've discovered, especially with we African men, that, and I say that because, of course, I'm an African man. I mean, I'm not too sure if that's what obtains with every other culture, but African men, we don't listen that much to our wives. Yeah, sometimes they can talk so much, but I've learned from experience that we should listen to them, because we when we listen, there's so much advantage from listening, right? I mean, you can imagine if I stood my ground right from then that, I don't want business, I don't want business, I don't want to do business. I mean, only God, can tell what would have happened, right? So that's the first advice, that we should try to listen more to, the women in our lives, especially the women that we say we love. Then also we should put God first, and it will surely make our path straight. Yeah, there will be challenges, there will be trials, but they will only make us stronger. Yeah, so we need to first and foremost try to listen more, especially to our wives. We need to put God first, and when we determine, especially for we that we are probably we want to marry from another tribe. Once we we've talked to God and we are sure of what we want to do. Let us stick and stand our ground. Let us do that which makes us happy. We should not let, families to tear us apart, because at the end of the day, it boils down to the two of us, right, in the union. So, in as much as we were sure that, okay, this is what I want to do, I'm convinced God has put it to me, God has made it clear to me that this is the person for me, then we should do everything we need to do to ensure it works. If we have to talk to our families, make them understand, go on our knees, pray, but at the end of the day, things will work out just fine. So those are my closing notes.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Frank. I really do appreciate your time. Yeah, we planned quite a number of minutes, but here we are. The discussion was
Yeah.
I mean, we have these conversations almost all the time, yeah. But I found it I thought it would be nice for you guys to tell and educate some other folks, and even me too. Probably I'm getting more understanding about how this marriage thing works. But it's good though. So yeah, there've been so many role models from my parents to you guys, to other people that I've seen, Bishop and his wife, JJ and his wife, so many people. So my cousins, so many. I've been lucky, fortunate enough to see. I've not really seen any couple, or have not really been connected with any couple that has, except in just one case. But I've really not been so connected with any couple that has been, let's say, drained by marriage. I've seen it one or two. I would not lie, but the thing is that it's not something that's common that I've seen. So, and I thank God for that whole life of lesson, seeing couples that you understand, that has really built themselves in marriage. Right? So those little ones that I've seen, there's a reason why I've seen them, and I've learned from that. I've learned the lessons because I've actually had conversations with them, and I sometimes they don't necessarily say what has happened inside. When you talk with them, you tend to have an idea of what probably would have happened. So I've learned from that. It's just one or two couples that I've seen like that. So, but I pray I don't see any couples like that anymore, because like I said, I love love. I love the fact that I see it's like unity in diversity, love in diversity, people coming together to live life and enjoy themselves. So thank you so much. So the 7th episode is done for today. So thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. So we'll just go off air. I'll just stop the live stream so that we can have 1 minute after that.
Okay.
All right. So bye guys. Bye bye.